Warming up has to be the most simple concept that everybody gets wrong. Bodybuilders either don't warm up at all and go straight into lifting, or you have some wannabe fitness philosophers who think they have a PhD in warm-ups that create super complicated warm-ups that are even longer than their own workouts. The fitness community today is so focused on lifting and they don't pay much attention to warming up. Because I'm here to make fitness great again, I'll be showing you a quick and simple warm-up that will help you get the most out of your workouts. Before I get started, if you're interested in athletic bodybuilding workouts, I just released my Ultimate Athletic Bodybuilding Academy that not only includes monthly workouts, but also weekly Q&As with myself and my brother. I'll leave a link in the description, and if you use code WARMUP, you'll get 20% off your first month. So the first thing you're probably thinking is, why should I warm up? And that's a great question. The overall goal of a warm-up is to prepare an athlete or lifter, whichever one you are, mentally and physically for exercise. The reason why you should warm up is because warming up will increase performance. Warming up has been shown to increase multiple traits, including rate of force development and muscle strength and power. Increased performance at the gym will lead to increased muscle growth. So whether you're trying to improve your athletic performance or trying to build your version of the Leon Edwards physique, warming up will help you do that. And another thing a good warm-up does is it decreases your injury risk. I'm super lucky and I've never had a major injury before, but for those of you who have, you know that an injury can have a major impact on your progress. So the best thing you can do is to prevent an injury before it happens, and warming up will help you do that. So now that I've inspired you to take warm-up seriously, I'll be going over the steps of an effective warm-up. While I'm doing this, I'll be using a soccer analogy as I played soccer in high school, and I feel this will help you understand what an effective warm-up looks like. So the first step of an effective warm-up is a general warm-up period. A general warm-up period consists of 5 minutes of slow aerobic activity with the goal of increasing heart rate, blood flow, and respiration rate. So if you've ever seen clips of pro soccer players train, you'll see that they typically start their training sessions with a light jog around the field. That is an example of a general warm-up. The same concept can be applied for lifting. An example I like to do is using a bike before my leg day. I just do 5 minutes on the bike with low intensity. You don't have to use a bike to warm up, but that's what I like to do for my leg days. Because unlike walking, with a bike you go through a larger range of motion, and I feel you hit 2 birds with 1 stone by not only warming up your legs, but also loosening up your legs a little bit. For your upper body days, such as your pull day or your push day, I'd recommend a low intensity cardio that involves using your arms. Some examples I like to do are a light shadowboxing session, hitting the bag at a low intensity, only using my arms on an assault bike, using an arm bike, or using a rowing machine if I'm doing back that day. Experiment with different forms of light cardio and find out which one works for you. Just make sure you're doing light intensity. I swear I've seen so many warm-ups online with bodybuilders going crazy hard. A warm-up is a warm-up. It's not a workout. If you go way too hard on a warm-up, it will end up hurting your performance on your actual workout. So again, just stick to 5 minutes of light cardio. The second step of an effective warm-up is to activate and mobilize. An example of what soccer players will do is they'll do some warm-up lines where they do some dynamic stretching. And again, the same concept can be applied to your lifting warm-up. So before lifting, do some dynamic stretches for the body part that you'll be training that day. And I'm strongly emphasizing dynamic stretching. If you see a bodybuilder doing static stretching, you know they don't know what they're talking about. Although the research is limited, there are many studies that show that static stretching compromises muscle performance. Even though the studies are limited, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. There's no need to be doing static stretching when dynamic stretching does the job. So again, don't be an idiot and do static stretching, do dynamic stretching. An example of what I like to do on a leg day is to do a variety of leg swing variations. I'll do one to loosen up my hamstrings, one to loosen up my adductors and my inner thigh, and one to loosen up my quads. Then depending on how I feel, I might do some low back mobility or some ankle mobility to help with my squat depth. For my upper body days, I like to do some sort of arm swings just to loosen up my shoulders. If you do insist on doing static stretching, do it after your workouts. Although static stretching doesn't have a place before workouts, static stretching can be beneficial for range of motion and overall joint health. And the last step of an effective warm-up is a sport-specific warm-up. An example soccer players use is doing some sort of passing or shooting drills. And again, the same concept can be applied to lifting. The goal of a sport-specific warm-up is to slowly build up the intensity to the intensity that you're gonna work out in. So what I like to do is to slowly progress up to my working weight for the first exercise that I'm doing that day. The example I'll use for explanation purposes is a squat. So I like to do an 8, 6, 4, 2 rep range progression to my working weight. So I like to start doing low weight, then slowly progress up to my working weight. Some people like to calculate their percentages and then slowly build up towards their working weight, but I personally like to just eyeball it and slowly progress up to my working weight. So let's say hypothetically I'm doing a 315-pound squat. First I'll start with 8 reps just with the bar. Then I'll do 6 reps with just a plate on each side. Then I'll do 4 reps with 2 plates on each side. Then I'll do 2 reps with 2 plates and a 25 on each side. And then I'll be ready to do my first set of 315. And that right there is an effective lifting warm-up. An effective warm-up doesn't have to be a complicated one. An effective warm-up doesn't have to be a long one. I would say the sweet spot for a good warm-up is about 10 to 15 minutes. Going past there, I feel like you're going too long, but like I said before, find what works for you. But since I know warm-ups aren't super fun, I'll be giving you some of my certified bro science tips that I've learned over the years. My first bro science tip: more warm-up time is required for previous or current injuries. Obviously, if you're dealing with an injury, doing a longer or more intense warm-up is necessary for decreasing your re-injury risk, as well as decreasing your pain so you're able to lift with the appropriate intensity. Bro science tip number 2, warm-ups are more important for leg days. Throughout my lifting career, I've always prioritized leg day warm-ups, and this all has to do with daily activities. Because pretty much everyone is sitting down all day, most people have very tight legs, and with exercises like the squat requiring lots of range of motion, a good warm-up is more necessary to achieve this range of motion. And my last bro science tip: find what works for you. I've been saying to find what works for you so much in this video because I feel like it's so important. What works for you might not work for me, and vice versa. If a full warm-up helps you feel great before a workout and you feel it helps your performance, keep doing it. But if you find that some body parts don't need as much of a warm-up, then do that. Just do whatever helps you feel and perform at your best. I hope you learned a lot from it and now know how to do an effective warm-up. Please let me know if you have any questions down in the comments, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.